I'm Lance Lysowski, the Sabres beat writer for the Buffalo News. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is back with the Sabres. No surprise, of course, the restricted free agent was always going to re-sign with the Sabres. The question was going to be, how long is the contract? How much does it cost? Well, we got some answers last week. Luukkonen, 5-year deal, cap hit of $4.75 million. Exactly, or close to what we have been expecting over these last 3 to 4 months. As I've reported, Luukkonen and his camp are looking for a contract of 5 years, $25 million. Now, if you look at comparable contracts around the league, that falls right in line with what you would expect if you look at Luukkonen's numbers, his age, how much term was left on the contract in terms of restricted free agent years. It is very similar to Thatcher Demko, the starting goalie of the Vancouver Canucks. Demko, of course, signed a 5-year, $25 million contract before he emerged as a top 10 goalie. Had a little, sort of similar to Luukkonen, where he had games, showed promise, but had yet to really establish himself as the guy. The difference here, of course, is that Luukkonen has that breakthrough season under his belt, 50-plus games, 9-10 save percentage, 5 shutouts. That run that he went on the second half of the season, even before the All-Star break, remarkable, really solidified that depth chart for this team moving forward. The Sabres get a slight discount, $4.75 million cap hit, right around what you would expect to pay. I know that I think the wishful thinking among the fan base and probably even the Sabres management in terms of their salary cap and how they wanted to balance things out was that Luukkonen's contract would be closer to what Filip Gustavsson received from the Minnesota Wild a year ago. Gustavsson under that $4 million mark, but the production, the age, it doesn't add up. Luukkonen was going to receive more money. He does in this case, and it sets up nicely for this team moving forward. They got term. Now, let's tackle the obvious fact here. There is risk in signing Luukkonen to a 5-year deal. He's being paid based on 3+ months of real number one production, but you're also paying for that ceiling on what he could achieve. Because think about it, with a new coach, more structure, better defense, it stands to reason that Luukkonen could even accomplish more on a better team. With Ruff's coach, with that D-core being older, more established, more run support, right? This team didn't score enough goals last year. With health, the additions they've made this offseason, a power play that now run by Ruff and Seth Appert, can that get to the top half of the league to support these goalies more this coming season? Really, it was impressive. There's risk involved here because as much as you look at Luukkonen, the age, the improved team that we expect to see around him, there are very few goalies in this league that can repeat success year after year over year, I should say. The list is very small. It's that top 5 range of goaltenders in the league. I mean, Gustavsson is a perfect example here. He gets paid last summer based on 1-year production with the Minnesota Wild, falls off, has a really bad year. All of a sudden, the team is reportedly thinking about trading him, and suddenly that contract looks a little ugly for a team that, the Minnesota Wild, they're going to be cap strapped. Now, the Sabres, they have money to spend now, but we all know that Jeff Skinner buyout is going to get costly, particularly in a couple of years when they're going to be paying this guy almost $6 million to play for somebody else. That creates challenges when you're talking about a cap world. There is a cap ceiling. And when you're paying Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins, JJ Peterka, and Jack Quinn could join that list. Bowen Byram's a restricted free agent next summer. Devon-Levi's a restricted free agent next summer. This team's going to need players on entry-level contracts to produce in the future. Now that they have a better idea that Luukkonen, this isn't a 3-year deal. Now, I know fans wanted 3 years, especially after that Skinner buyout, but the Sabres had no leverage here. If Luukkonen went to arbitration, not only do you risk muddying a relationship with a player who's very important to your short-term success, but also you're going to lose. The Sabres were going to lose that hearing, so they had to pay up. They did. Now, they do have a few advantages in their direction now. Of course, you get financial certainty, is a good way to put it, with your possible number one goalie for the next 5 years. You know Luukkonen's going to cost this much. Here's how he fits in our long-term cap. Here's where we want to pay devon-levi. Here's how this all comes together. Same time, though, you're going to have to pay Levi next summer. Bowen Byram's a restricted free agent next summer. Quinn, Peterka. This team's going to get expensive. It already has, and now it's going to be a challenge. One of many challenges for Kevyn Adams in terms of just building this roster moving forward. Now, they moved Matt Savoy to get Ryan McLeod. I think their ability to move prospects is somewhat limited moving forward, especially that higher tier guy, like Yuri Kulik, for example, Isak Rosén, the guys who are really close to the NHL. The Sabres are going to need them. They are. You're going to need players on entry-level contracts, and those are the guys who you're really going to rely on. Now, Konsta Helenius, a lot of upside there, but we haven't seen him play in North America yet. You're really going to want to trade somebody who's close to the NHL, banking on this kid to be closer to the NHL ready than what you may expect or what some others may expect. It's a balance that you're going to have to handle moving forward. What Kevyn Adams did, though, is he gave himself some flexibility here. He still has $8.5 million of cap space for next season, the 24-25 season. Peyton Krebs still needs to be signed. If that gets done, that's going to be below $2 million. You still want some wiggle room, though, for your guys who get those performance and those performance bonuses. Those are the players on entry-level contracts. So Peterka, Quinn, Levi, if he plays enough games to merit, Zach Benson, that could be expensive. You have to account for that money somehow. That still gives the Sabres a few $1,000,000 if they find the right player, the right fit. You can move salary off the roster. Right now, the D-core seems unsettled. You've got Yoki Haru back on a 1-year deal, a UFA next summer, something to keep an eye on. Connor Clifton has 2 years left. Does he fit under Lindy Ruff? Clifton, of course, brought in by Don Granato. Fits stylistically, but would they prefer a different skill set or somebody who could play the left side, somebody who could play higher in the lineup? It's all part of the debate as the Sabres move forward here. You got your starting goalie. There has to be some solace, some comfort in that fact, but you still have to navigate the situation moving forward. How do you handle Levi, right? Like, you're paying Luukkonen as the number one now. So if you want Levi on that NHL roster, how do you balance starts with those two goalies? Clearly, Buffalo's plan is to have the young tandem in the NHL, which I understand. Right there, you could push back on it for several reasons, none more so than the games played mark for Levi as a 22-year-old. He's only played 61 games of pro hockey. He would benefit from being in Rochester. He certainly wouldn't hurt from that experience. We've all heard it. But everything we've heard from Kevyn Adams, everything we've heard from devon-levi and others throughout the organization, it's going to be Levi in that number 2 seat for the Sabres next season. How do they handle that now that Luukkonen has gotten paid? How does Luukkonen handle the pressure of being paid, the pressure of having Levi basically breathing down his neck? That's going to be the way that dynamic plays out. Levi's not going to be content as a backup. He wants to play. Luukkonen wants to play. How does that sort itself out? It's imperative, though, for the Sabres to make sure that they are a strong enough defensive team and play with enough structure and score enough goals to support this goaltending tandem, especially now that you've paid Luukkonen and you need to put devon-levi in an advantageous situation, not only for short-term success, but long-term development. All right, you're still going to be developing Luukkonen. He has not reached his ceiling. At least he better not have now that you've paid him that amount of money. The challenge now is, how does he handle it? How does everybody else on this team handle this calculated bet that Kevyn Adams had to make on Luukkonen? Credit to Luukkonen. Played his way into this. He forced their hand. He got paid in a way that none of us expected to happen a year ago. And we'll see how the rest of this plays out. Sabres still have a couple of needs, right? We look at the roster. We'll get into these conversations in the coming weeks. It's late July. Okay, the rookie camp, the prospects challenge, still 6 weeks away. I think we're looking at September 12th is the tentative date, right around there for rookie camp, prospects challenge. I think the Aaron Portzline from the Athletic reported the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be participating in the event this year. Great prospect base, that's going to be exciting. But where does Peyton Krebs fit in? We have not heard from Kevin Adams since the McLeod acquisition. How does that impact Krebs? How does that impact the rest of the roster? Are they done? There hasn't been much movement around the league the last couple of weeks. GMs are vacationing. Reporters are too. I took last week off. Mike Harrington's off for a few weeks. Well-deserved time off for everybody around the league. But that doesn't mean that business stops. We see trades in July. We see trades in August. Jeff Skinner was acquired in August, by the way. So Sabres have some opportunity to do some things. Getting that goalie contract done is huge, though. They got Luukkonen, they got Mallenstein signed before arbitration. We'll see how the rest of this plays out. I'm Lance Lysowski from Buffalo News. Mailbag coming later this week. If you have a question, remember, find me on X. Handle is LLYSOWSKI. Mention me. I still have leftover questions from last time, so I apologize if yours didn't make it. Several that I want to run from then. I'm going to collect more this week. X, email, LLYSOWSKI@buffnews.com. Send your question. I have several in my email inbox as well that I'll add to the list. Avoid the obvious ones, right? If you have a follow-up to Luukkonen, that's great. Levi, of course, that's been a big topic of discussion as we've progressed through the offseason. We're at the home stretch, though. 6 weeks left. We'll see what happens. The Sabres, most of their roster is set. Is that it? We're going to find out. I'm Lance Isowski, the Buffalo News. Have a great week.